Welcome back to another lecture. Today we are looking at the newest, shiniest, and arguably most terrifying toy humanity has ever invented. And more importantly, how the European Union plans to wrap it in a suffocating blanket of paperwork. Yes, we are talking about artificial intelligence. For the past few years, the tech industry has been operating in a state of absolute unbridled chaos. It was the digital Wild West. Silicon Valley was churning out algorithms that could paint like Van Gogh, pass the bar exam, or subtly manipulate your political views while you scrolled on the toilet. It was moving fast and breaking things. Naturally, when the European Union sees things moving fast and breaking things, its immediate, deeply ingrained instinct is to hit the brakes and form a committee. And so, after years of intense debates, lobbying, and dangerous levels of espresso in the secret trilogues of Brussels, we finally have the EU AI Act, the world's first comprehensive legal framework for artificial intelligence. To understand this colossal piece of legislation, you have to understand the EU's favorite conceptual tool, categorization. The AI Act does not treat all artificial intelligence the same. Instead, it uses a risk-based approach, sorting AI systems into 4 distinct levels of a pyramid. We have unacceptable risk, high risk, limited risk, and minimal risk. Let us start at the very top of the danger pyramid, the unacceptable risk category. These are the AI systems that the European Union looked at and said, absolutely not. Under no circumstances straight to jail. These are completely banned within the borders of the EU because they are deemed a clear threat to the safety, livelihoods, and rights of people. What falls into this forbidden zone? First up is social scoring. If you have ever seen an episode of Black Mirror where citizens are rated based on their behavior, you know what this is. The EU has explicitly banned governments or companies from deploying AI systems that evaluate your trustworthiness based on your social behavior or personal characteristics. Also banned is real-time biometric identification in public spaces. In simple terms, mass facial recognition by law enforcement on the streets. Brussels decided that living in a constant state of algorithmic surveillance, where a machine tracks your every movement across a city, is fundamentally incompatible with European values of privacy. Now, because this is the European Union, there are exceptions. Law enforcement can use real-time facial recognition in public spaces, only in extremely narrow, specific situations, such as searching for victims of kidnapping, preventing an imminent terror threat, or tracking suspects of the most severe crimes. And even then, it requires strict judicial authorization. It is a very tight leash. Moving one step down the pyramid, we enter the high-risk category. This is where the bulk of the regulatory heavy lifting happens. These AI systems are not banned, but they are highly regulated because they directly impact people's lives, health, or fundamental rights. Think of AI used in critical infrastructure, medical devices, or law enforcement. But it is not just life or death hardware. An algorithm sorting job applications is high risk. An AI deciding whether you get approved for a mortgage is high risk. An automated system scoring student exams or determining access to educational institutions is high risk. If a computer gets to make a decision that drastically alters your life trajectory, Brussels wants to know exactly how it makes that decision. If a company wants to deploy a high-risk AI system in the EU, they must jump through a spectacular series of bureaucratic hoops. They must maintain perfect records. They must ensure the data used to train the AI is high quality and not biased. They must guarantee robust cybersecurity. And they must register the system in a massive EU database. Crucially, high-risk systems mandate what the EU calls human oversight. This means the algorithm cannot just run wild on autopilot. A real, living, breathing human being must be in the loop, capable of overriding the AI's decision. If the algorithm says you are not eligible for a bank loan, a human bank employee must be able to review the math and tell the robot it is wrong. Next, we drop down to the limited risk category. This is entirely about transparency. The core philosophy here is simple. If you are talking to a machine, you have a fundamental right to know that you are talking to a machine. This covers chatbots, automated customer service, and systems that generate audio, video, or text. If you are interacting with an AI customer support agent, it must clearly state it is not a human. More importantly, this applies to deepfakes. If you use AI to generate an image of a politician doing something absurd, or synthesize audio of a celebrity, it must be clearly labeled as artificially generated. You can still make your AI art, you just have to put a digital watermark on it. Now we must address the elephant in the room: generative AI and general-purpose AI models like ChatGPT. When the EU started drafting this law years ago, these systems barely existed in the public eye. Then suddenly, they exploded onto the scene, causing a mild panic attack in the halls of the European Parliament. The lawmakers had to frantically rewrite the legislation at the last minute. The EU decided to place special rules on these foundation models. They are not inherently high risk, but because they are so powerful and versatile, they require strict transparency. The companies building these giant models must publish detailed summaries of the copyrighted material they scraped from the internet to train their AI. This is a massive victory for authors, artists, and publishers who want to sue them for copyright infringement. Furthermore, the absolute largest of these models, the ones that require immense computing power to train, face systemic risk rules. They must conduct rigorous adversarial testing, basically trying to hack and break their own AI to see if it can produce dangerous instructions like how to build a bioweapon. They also have to report their energy consumption, because training these models burns more electricity than a small European town. Finally, at the bottom of the pyramid, we have minimal risk AI. This includes things like spam filters in your email, AI used in video games, or inventory management algorithms. The EU AI Act completely ignores these. They require zero additional paperwork. The vast majority of AI systems currently in use fall into this free pass category. Naturally, the tech giants of Silicon Valley complained bitterly about this entire framework. They argued that these rules will stifle innovation, that the EU will fall behind in the AI race, and that the paperwork is too burdensome. They threatened to pull their services out of Europe entirely. But this is where the European Union plays its favorite trump card. If a company violates the AI Act, especially the rules on banned systems, they face astronomical fines. We are talking up to 35 million euros, or 7% of the company's total worldwide annual turnover, whichever is higher. For a company like Google or Microsoft, that is a multi-billion-dollar fine. Suddenly, the tech giants realize they might actually want to read the paperwork. This brings us back to our old friend, the Brussels effect. Just like with the GDPR and data privacy, the EU is banking on the fact that global tech companies will not want to build two entirely different versions of their AI models. It is too expensive and complex. Instead, they will likely just adopt the strict EU standards globally. By regulating first, Brussels effectively dictates the rules for the rest of the planet. To enforce all of this, the European Commission is establishing an entirely new bureaucratic entity called the AI Office. They will hire data scientists, lawyers, and tech experts to continuously monitor the market. Because AI is evolving on a weekly basis, the law was written to be flexible, allowing the AI Office to update the rules and shift systems between risk categories as the technology mutates. The EU AI Act is a massive, incredibly complex gamble. It is an attempt to build a cage for a beast that has not even finished growing yet. Whether it successfully protects human rights or simply drowns European tech startups in compliance costs remains to be seen. But one thing is certain: the era of the AI Wild West is officially over. Class dismissed.